Hey everybody, it's Manny from Chapel Forge. So I've been gone for like 8 weeks probably. I'm pretty sure the last video I recorded, I had just hit 38 weeks. And we are now 6 weeks postpartum. So I wanted to obviously share a little bit about our birth story, a little bit about our postpartum time, and what our plans are moving forward. So this is the first baby that I've gone into labor by myself. As I've mentioned before, the other three I had to be induced. Bud was a week late. Jameson was a few days early, but we induced because of pups. Zuzu was 2 weeks late, also an induction. So this was pretty amazing that I went into labor all by myself. Basically, in a nutshell, we had gone out. I sort of had this feeling it was a Monday. We got up, I was 38 and 5. And I just sort of had this feeling that we probably should go get a few things. I just had this feeling. I'd had a lot of pressure, some leaking, just like clear, nothing concerning, no blood or anything. I had bloody show though, like for the last week or two. And so we went into our little Amish town, that we always go to and get milk and, bulk grains and root storage vegetables, things like that because our garden's not up or whatever. So we went out, we got a huge haul of stuff. We were gone for like several hours. We got home around 5. The boys had a search and rescue training with the fire department. And I was like, just go ahead. Like, I sort of felt like I was starting to have contractions, but again, I had never gone into labor by myself. So I was like, maybe not. So I told them to just go and I would be fine. So I was home with Jamie and Zuzu, 3 and 5, in case you're new here. Bud is now 15. And so him and Zad went off to go do their fire training. And I sort of felt like maybe my contractions were getting to be about 5 minutes apart. And I was like, there's no way. Like, no way. I'm going into labor by myself. So I called the hospital that we had planned to deliver at. And she's like, well, do you think they're 5 minutes apart? And I was like, I didn't want to be dramatic. So I was like, nah, I don't think so. She was like, well, why don't we schedule you for noon tomorrow just to have you on the schedule. And then if you feel like you need to come in, that spot is reserved for you. I said, okay, that sounds good. Because I did not want to be induced early. I really wanted this baby to come on their own and at minimum not be induced until between 41 and 42. Like that was Zad and I's plan, just based on my birth history. So maybe like another hour passed. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go like put some laundry away. I put a movie on for the kids. I started putting laundry away. And because I was like, that's something I can kind of like keep moving. Because, if you lay down, then things seem way worse than they really are sometimes. So I was like, this is a gentle way to like keep moving, keep the kids occupied, keep the stress level low, So I'm like doing that and I'm getting to the point where I have to take a break. So I'm like, well, okay, let's time these. So I was timing them and they were lasting for 30 seconds and they were 90 seconds apart. I'm like, uh-oh. So I called back to the hospital that we were planning to go to, which is 2 hours from home, just because that's where we had our last baby and I really loved it there. And just a quick to catch you up. First baby, 15 years ago, hospital, terrible experience. Second baby, 5 years ago, home birth, loved it, wonderful experience. Third baby, tried to home birth, couldn't because we were almost at 42 weeks and we just had zero progression at all. Transferred to our local, where we used to live, local hospital that serves a lot of Amish Mennonite. Had a wonderful experience and we had planned to deliver there. So now you're caught up. So now on to this baby. I called that hospital and they were like, you probably need to come in like an hour ago. They're like, but you're not going to make it. Well, I had talked to a different midwife than I talked to the first time. And I said, well, I'm 2 hours away. She's like, well, you need to get to a closer hospital then. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm going to have a car baby. So we have a closer hospital that is that same network. I don't know. Same company or whatever. And they're an hour away, 55 minutes away. So I called Zad and of course he had like crap service. So I called Zad. I'm like, babe, it's go time. So he's about 20 minutes away because they were in town. and I start frantically packing a bag. You know, we're getting a hold of my parents because my parents and Zad's parents are both 2 hours away. Our farmer friend down the road, he had already said, like, if something is super emergent and you need to bring the kids somewhere to be watched until a parent gets here, we are totally, you know, okay with helping with that. And they have 9 kids, you know, so like there would be no lack of entertainment. And we've known them now since we moved here, so we trust them. So anyway, Zad gets a hold of my parents, we get all that arranged, and we head off to the hospital. And you know, we had packed like gloves and a blanket and like a bucket to put the placenta in. We had like all the things, you know, because we had birthed at home, so we kind of knew what the procedure was if you weren't in a hospital, because we thought for sure we were having a car baby. So we're on the way, and like the first like 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, I can do this, like we're okay. And then it was getting so intense, and I'm like, babe, we're gonna have this baby in the car. It wasn't quite that dramatic. So Zad had called the hospital and was like, we are on our way. The hospital we were supposed to go to called that hospital and said, hey, they're coming in, can you get ready for them? And Zad called when we were about 20 minutes out, and he was like, you know, she is having back labor again, just like the last one, increasing amounts of pain, you know, we'll be there super soon. We get there, they were wonderful. The whole L&D team was like there with a bed at the emergency, because it was late, it was like 9:30 or something. So like you didn't use the maternity entrance, but anyway, they had the bed there and they were all ready to go, and these girls were just the best. So they got me upstairs. I was 5 centimeters by the time we got into the hospital. And I knew that I wanted an epidural. Like it wasn't even a question, because I had back labor with Zuzu and I was puking across the room, and some women can handle back labor with nothing. I am not that girl. So she's like, we probably can't get the epidural in you for like an hour. I'm like, huh? Because last time this drug on forever. I was in labor with Zuzu for like 2 days. You know, it was this whole long drawn out thing. I wound up having Lemon in under 3 hours. It was precipitous, as they call it. So anyway, they did speed it up a little bit faster than that, because it's a pretty small hospital. So like the anesthesiologist wasn't even there. Like she had to come in. She was on call or whatever. So she was wonderful. You know, I always get nervous about anesthesiologists because I've had some crappy ones in the past, or just no bedside manner. She was wonderful. She just nailed it. First time, she did perfect. Exactly what I needed. By the time she got that epidural in, I was at 10 centimeters. Like we were ready to rock and roll. And the midwife was like, when you're ready to push, you push. So I literally pushed her out in 3 pushes, less than 5 minutes. And we had a beautiful little girl. So she is right here sleeping peacefully in the wrap, as she loves to sleep. It's probably her favorite place to sleep. And we didn't know if we were having a boy or a girl. So we had a boy name picked, but we did not have a girl name picked. P.S. I'm out here in our beautiful woods because the kids are content playing in the house. Bud is blacksmithing. Zad's working on KitchenAids. It's a little noisy down on our porch just because the house is a little close to the road. And it's so peaceful out here. So anyway. And the fall leaves they're pretty much all fallen now, but it's still just beautiful. Even all the dead stuff, as Jamie says, all the dead stuff is still pretty. Anyway, so we didn't have a girl name picked, and so she was just girl-legged for a while. Passed the placenta just fine, took a shower pretty much on my own. You know, you still have your epidural and all of that, so that had to wear off for a little while, took the shower, and we just had an amazing hospital experience. If and when, Lord willing, we have a couple more kids, I will absolutely have it there, you know, unless we have a car birth or a home birth or whatever that comes quicker than we plan. Just wonderful. Amazing midwives. It's just a small community hospital, and I loved it. So we had asked the nurse the next morning, because it was late. She was born like 11:10. So it was late. We got all that stuff done and, you know, settled into our room, did all of that. And my favorite thing when I have babies, with all 4 now, has been apple juice, a turkey sandwich, and Lorna Doone shortbread cookies. Why are those 3 things after I give birth like that? I crave it. It's weird. Anyway, they brought me, she said, we have like these little boxes. It was so late, like the cafeteria's closed. And we didn't really have time to pack any snacks or anything, because I didn't plan on having a baby at 38 weeks. I figured I still had like 4 more weeks to go. So she's like, we have these little lunch boxes that are already packed. Do you want one of those? And I said, heck yeah, I do. Didn't that have Lorna Doone shortbread cookies and a turkey sandwich in it? Like God had his hand in my lunch there, my dinner, my snack, whatever. And she brought me some apple juice, and it was lovely. So we were up really late that night. I mean, obviously we didn't fall asleep till like 5, and then obviously with a newborn, you're up, whatever. And as it seems with the last two, she slept pretty well in the hospital. I mean, she slept like a couple, like 2 hours or whatever. So we had asked the midwife if we could go home. Like, I talked to my home birth midwife. So I had home birth prenatal care. And she's like, well, you could ask to go home for 24 hours. Because at 24 hours, they do all the things that say, yes, you can go out the door. All the tests and all that, whatever. So I said to her, I said, hey, could we go home? Hit the 24-hour mark, do the things. If we check all your boxes, can we go home? And she said, sure. And I said, holy crap, really? Like, I almost didn't even ask because I figured that was not even a thing. Like, Zuzu, we were there for like over 3 days. But I had to get induced and all the things. So then obviously, or I mean, at least in our experience, the pediatrician is the one that says, yay, everybody can go home. And we talked to the pediatrician, and she's like, well, you sure you want to drive home in the dark? Because it would be about midnight. And we were like, we drive in the dark all the time. It's really not an issue. And she's like, okay, sure. Yeah, as long as you pass all the tests, check all the boxes, then you're free to go. And I realized that you're free to go whenever you want. Like, I'm not here to have an AMA conversation. Just, this is what happened. So anyway, it was the next day, and, we're just sitting there basically just waiting to go home. And we asked our nurse, if we could have a piece of paper to start writing down names. Because at this point, we still don't have a name. This baby's like 12, 15 hours old. We still don't have a name. So we were like charting names, middle names and first names and what goes together well. We had some things in mind from prior to going in. And there was a lot of names that we loved the first name, but we just couldn't come up with a middle name that we really liked to go with it. And I said to Zed, I said, well, what do you think about Lemon? And like, I sort of said it with some caution because I was like, he might think that's dumb. And he looks at me and he's like, well, I was kind of thinking that like a couple weeks ago, but I wasn't sure how you'd feel about it. And I was like, well, clearly that's the answer. So Lemon is from the show Heart of Dixie. If you've ever watched that show before, it's like an old Southern name. We loved it. It's perfect. Her middle name is Sky. So Zad's sister, her first baby, she's like us, lost 3 babies. Her first 2 were stillbirths, and her very first one, her name was Sky. She would be about the same age as Bud, right? About like just turned 15, right about. And so Zad had a big hand in that experience with her because the dad wasn't around and whatever. And so it was perfect. It was fitting and whatever. And it was just a really cool way to like kind of memorialize or whatever Sky. So Lemon Sky was born at the end of September. And then we came home. My parents were here with the kids while we were gone. That worked out great. Their camper is here now. So they can very comfortably come sleep here. They have their little Yorkie or whatever. They're all set up to be here, and that worked out great. We got that done like in the nick of time, like maybe a month before Lemon was born. We had their camper all set up and ready to go, which worked out great. So, and Bud is, obviously very capable. Jameson's getting to the point where he's like very capable too. So it worked out really well. They could take care of the animals and, do all the things. So we got home late, like 1 a.m. or something. Everybody met Lemon and we tucked into bed. And I had seen a couple months maybe before birth, I had seen a couple things about a week in bed, a week on the bed, and a week near the bed. And I was like, this is a fascinating concept. I think the first person I heard talk about it was Kate at Venison for Dinner. And I just love her vibe. Like, she does a lot of things, but super chill in doing a lot of things. And I just love that. So if you don't follow her. I think she's hilarious and she knows a lot of fun things. So anyway, I saw her, and then, of course, like my phone heard me talk about this. So then they're showing me all these things about it. And so I was like, you know what? We are going to truly take at minimum the first 3 weeks and do basically nothing except eat and sleep and bathe. Like, this is what we're going to do. And obviously care for the other kids or whatever. And, I said to Zad, I'm like, I am happy if you want to like kind of join me in this slumber. Obviously, but he would be doing a few more things, obviously, but, taking care of the animals and whatever. But so he kind of joined me for like the first, like 2-ish weeks. I would say everyone kind of collectively, we just kind of like laid around and we're together. We watched movies, like we always eat meals together, but eating our meals together and whatever. And then by week 3, like Zad was kind of like, okay, you know what, I'm going to get back to doing, and not that he was doing nothing. Of course he was doing things. There's just general like homestead things that have to be done. But kind of getting slowly back into like little projects and things like that. Thankfully, this was such a godsend. Thankfully, the morning that we went into the hospital, Dad had just finished up. He had like a big batch of fire pokers to get out, and I had some soap to get out. We had dropped it off that morning, that Monday morning, we had dropped it off. Thank God, that bought us some time. And soap is quick. Like, anybody can go into the soap shop, pull the order, fill it, and get out. But fire pokers are made to order. And so we have like a 3 to 4 week lead time on those. So that was an amazing blessing that we got all those out that morning. And that we had stocked up like on all of our winter storage stuff. We just stocked up on milk. Like we were set. And that was my plan. I'm like, okay, I can stretch our milk for like 3 weeks probably. So I'm like, that we wouldn't have to go out for like at least 3 weeks, and it worked out great. So anyway, so I really truly took that first like 3 into 4 weeks, really just doing as little as possible and just bonding with baby and nursing baby and eating and sleeping and bathing and all those things. And then into week 4, I felt myself sort of starting to get a little antsy. Not antsy that I wanted to go like run a marathon or like, bake for the neighborhood or anything, but I just wanted to get up and do something. So I think that week I had made I made some cinnamon rolls or something. Like it was something very like low key. And it was nice. Like I spent maybe 2 hours, like one day, just very calmly just being about the kitchen, rested when I needed to or whatever. And I love baking for other people. If you're new here, we opened our micro bakery in June, beginning of July. And I love baking for other people. And those days are super intense. Like when we bake to take down to where we used to live, obviously I have to have everything ready at once. So, I have like 2 15-hour days back to back. And it's fun and I love it. But it was so nice to just have a slow bake day. It was wonderful. So anyway, did that. And then, I would just I would do a crossword puzzle or I kind of would just check the mail, make sure nothing was catastrophic that had to be dealt with. Is anyone else with me here? The most stressful thing, I don't want to say stressful because I guess you're as stressed as you make yourself. But I hate dealing with the mail postpartum because I'm like, some things have to be dealt with really, really soon. And if you're the mail taker, carer, finances person in your household and you're the one that just gave birth, sometimes that's challenging. And I realize you can kind of pass that stuff off. Like my mom's usually looped in and Zad's looped in and knows what's going on. But sometimes I just have to be involved in it to a degree, and I just don't want to. And I find that's super annoying. I hate that. That's the least favorite thing about postpartum is that the world's still spinning around you. Anyway, I would just get up and, I'd color with the kids or maybe just read a few pages in a book or something like that. Watched a bunch of my favorite YouTubers just kind of, learning about the things I enjoy learning about, baking bread and homesteading and fall baking or fall cooking, fall baking, all that kind of stuff. So then we got into week 5 and 6. So, like I said, we just hit 6 yesterday. I'm starting to feel myself getting not antsy, but I'm ready to start moving my body a little bit more. So we had gone on a few walks in those first 6 weeks, just sort of stretch our legs, get out of the house, get some fresh air. We went on maybe 2 or 3 30-minute walks or whatever, and it wasn't a hard 30. We just went to a state park and just had a little walk or whatever. We have about 15 acres. 14 and a half. And so we have a couple paths in the woods. And while I love summer and I love the abundance of the greenery in summer, it is kind of nice to walk in the winter because I don't have to be as worried about Jamie getting caught on briars and all that kind of junk. So Jamie and I have just kind of been walking up, we call it the spring house lane, take a walk up to the spring house. Our house is spring fed. So we have this super cool, antiquated spring house up in the woods. So we'll just walk up there and walk back. And at the pace I'm going right now, that's about 20 minutes, 25 minutes if we stop and look at, salamanders and other things. So eventually my midwife had said, I said, what's the like rule here? Because with my last 3, I was not working out prior to getting pregnant. So I really didn't have the knowledge or the experience on what I should be doing as far as getting back to working out. Now obviously, like, I gained weight during this pregnancy, and that is something that, we're gonna like slowly kind of deal with here. She said, I want you to stop bleeding, and then you need 1 to 2 weeks where you continue to not be bleeding. So I stopped bleeding probably 2 weeks ago, week and a half to 2 weeks ago. And the back labor is so brutal on my tailbone. I saw our regular chiropractor, and then we're not going to be back down to him till like December. So there is another guy in town that, his practices are not my favorite. I like our regular guy the most, but I had to get some kind of relief. Like my hips I could just tell that my hips were out of alignment. My back was out of alignment. My shoulders were so tight from nursing and baby wearing and all of that. So saw him today, and I do feel a little bit better. Jamie and I went for a walk, and I definitely didn't have like I just felt like hunched, and like my knees were sore, and I just felt very stiff, and I hate that feeling. So I do feel a lot better since we saw him today. Zad pretty much forced me to go. Not really. He's like, I really think you're gonna be okay, and you're gonna feel better, even though it's not your favorite, what do they call it? Modality, or like whatever they call it, the way he practices. So saw him today, and I'm feeling a lot better. So I am excited. We have the treadmill now, which we got like maybe near the beginning of my pregnancy, and I used it throughout pregnancy because like summer was disgusting, and I was not going outside like 30 plus weeks pregnant when the humidity was 88% and it was 100 degrees outside. So I'm excited to have that, and we have, I have my like regular weights or whatever, and I'm most excited to get back to climbing the mountain. So if you've been following us for a while, you know that we live on the side of a mountain up that ridge there, and there's a road here. It's like a private road that we can like walk through our woods, walk up there, walk back down. We can walk the whole way around and loop back down the road, whatever we want to do. So I am excited to get back to that. So that's where we are at with postpartum. Moving forward here, obviously we're going to get back into baking. Not right now. We're going to get back to baking. I have a friend who owns a in-home bakery. She does a lot. She does catering and all kinds of things. And she's like, I really don't think it's a good idea until like 8 weeks. And I think she's right. I think 8 weeks is going to be good. And even then, I think I might have a limited menu for a while, just stuff I know I can handle, or that Bud and Zad can help me with, or whatever. I do need to make soap, which is going to be very challenging because obviously I can't make soap with a newborn attached to me. So we're going to have to figure that out, or I might just have some soap goes out of stock for a while. I did really stock up before baby, so I think we're going to be able to get through Christmas with what I have. I do need to make tallow balm, which should be easy. I can make that in the kitchen. That's not a big deal. But fire pokers are just really picking up for Zad. That's always been our Christmas thing. If you've been with us for a while, you know that like November and December, Zad's just making copious amounts of fire pokers. KitchenAids are really rolling in too. He's probably got 5 in there right now that are like customers, and like 3 or 4 more that are refurbs that we want to get up for sale before Christmas. For somebody that wants a KitchenAid but maybe can't afford a new one, or doesn't want a new one because they're junk. We are getting into busy Christmas time. But I have to say, Zad and I sat down the other day and we made a list. Like, we made a November and December list. We made the overwintering the animals list, because we got to do that soon, because we're definitely dipping. Like, we've dipped into the low 30s. Not sustained though, so we need to get on that. We made like a January, February list, and then we made like an early spring list. We try to do that like, I would say like twice a year, maybe like every 6 months. We'll try to sit down and like just sort of regroup, like what did we cross off of our list? What are we both looking forward to doing? What are we not looking forward to doing? What do we have the budget for right now to do? Does something need bumped because we don't have the budget? Because inevitably things come up that you don't really want to spend money on, but you have to, because that's just how the world works. So we are slowly checking things off of our November and December list. We got our diesel tanks done. So one of them is filled, which is amazing. I really wanted that done like ASAP, because we're going to save money by getting bulk diesel fuel delivered instead of buying it out and about. And we got our camper out of the front yard. Woohoo! Camper's not in the front yard anymore. It is now parked in its actual home, which is fantastic. So that was 2 big things off our list, like long time coming type things that we just really like wanted to get done. So yeah, that's what we'll be working on. And, you know, as always, the mail pile is always there, and I have expenses to enter and blah, blah, blah. And holy crap, soon it's going to be time to start thinking about stupid income taxes, which I don't even want to think about. But, you know, I am slowly working through like my little office pile, and as always, we're just chugging along. We're just chipping away at projects and doing what we can as we have the money to do it. Zad's shop office is going to be done maybe before the end of the year. It might get pushed into January. We're kind of at the mercy of the contractor. But he is going to have a nice new shop where he can do KitchenAids. He's going to be getting into leather again. And making like radio harnesses and I don't know, belts. And he's always wanted to do this kind of stuff. And it's gonna be so nice to have his own little space, because right now he's repairing KitchenAids at the dining room table, which is obviously not ideal. So that's where we are. I hope that you enjoy this update video. I will hopefully be back to at least putting like a video out a week, 1 to 2 videos a week. So I'm excited that I had a nice calm, and like, can we just talk about the smell of fall? Like, it's fantastic. Like, the sun is setting over there and the leaves are crunchy and it's so quiet. We could use rain though. It's not good. So like right here, there's many, got caught. There's many springs that run down our mountain, or the mountain that we live on. And they are just not moving. We haven't had rain for we got like a spitting today, and it didn't even, like, if we weren't in the car, I don't even know that we would have noticed if, you know, we didn't see it on the windshield. But the rain has not come for, I'm almost sure we're pushing like 25 to 30 days. There is a lot of like wildfires keep popping up. We're not talking like California status or anything. But we have one, I think it's like northeast of us. So we're in like central PA, like right in the Appalachian Mountains, kind of north, I think it's northeast of us. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. And it's kind of bad over there. So anyway, we could really use some rain. Other than that, we are doing great. And here's little baby. I'm sure you'll be seeing lots and lots more of her. And we'll see you guys next time.